Good afternoon. This is the 5 FM Radio News. The headlines: Labor and Social Security Minister calls on the private sector to ensure their operations are aligned with country's labor laws. Community Action Against Corruption urges ZRA to explain the challenges it faced in collecting over 4 billion kwacha in unpaid taxes. And South Africa's Fort Hare University closed as buildings set on fire. This bulletin is live on our Facebook page, 5FM Radio Zambia, and live on our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, my name is Lance Sannie Banda. Labor and Social Security Minister Brenda Tambatamba has called on the private sector to ensure their operations are aligned with the country's labor laws. Ms. Tambatamba emphasized that the UPND administration remains committed to upholding the rule of law, not just in the labor sector, but across all areas of governance. She said the government is working to create a fair and regulated working environment for both employers and employees, adding that compliance with labor laws is key to safeguarding workers' rights and promoting decent work. Ms. Tambatamba further reiterated the government's resolve to strengthen labor inspections and enforcement mechanisms to ensure that workers are treated fairly and employers meet their legal obligations.
Through the rule of law. So the rule of law means for the workplace on all facets that I've talked about, occupational health, pension, and conditions of service, other than those I've talked about, occupational health and safety and pension. But the immediate remuneration is a factor of what is contained in the Labor and Industrial Relations Act. The Employment Code Act provides for ensuring that private sector is aligned to government policy, as is aligned to the law, is compliant with the law.
Lukasha Member of Parliament George Sanga has expressed concern in the manner the UPND administration is administering efforts to amend the constitution. Speaking when he featured on the Thursday edition of the Burning Issue program, Mr. Sanga pointed that the government has violated some provisions in the constitution in its push for the amendment of the constitution. He has since reminded the government, particularly the executive, to ensure that it limits its role to the mandate inscribed in the constitution. And Mr. Chisanga has supported the efforts being made by State Counsel John Sangwa in providing checks and balances. Community Action Against Corruption has urged the Zambia Revenue Authority to explain the challenges it faced in collecting over 4 billion kwacha in unpaid taxes, as revealed in the latest Auditor General's report. The organization's executive director, Brighton Tembo, says the public deserves clarity on why tax liabilities amounting to 4.39 billion kwacha were filed but remained uncollected. Mr. Tembo says accountability and transparency in tax administration are critical, especially at the time when the country needs every available resource to support national development. The Auditor General's report raised red flags over the uncollected tax amounts, highlighting potential weaknesses in enforcement and compliance mechanisms at the Revenue Authority. Mr. Tembo has since called on oversight institutions and Parliament to follow up on the matter and ensure ZRA strengthens its collection system. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association CPA chairperson Christopher Kalila says the theme for this year's Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference CPC, which is the Commonwealth, a global partner, could not be more timely. He said in a world rather where challenges transcend borders, from climate change to economic uncertainty, from inequality to democratic instability, partnership is no longer optional, it is essential. He was speaking during the official opening of the 68th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference being held in Bridgetown, Barbados. And the Commonwealth Secretary General Shelley Bochwe said that the Commonwealth is an association of nations, but it is also crucially an association of parliaments. Governments propose, but it is parliaments that debate, amend, and decide. Parliaments embody the democratic values that lie at the very heart of the Commonwealth chapter. She added that at the time when democracy is under strain, Parliament's role is more important than ever. Without them, there can be no trust, no legitimacy, and no progress. That is why the CPS work is so vital. While the vice patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Dame Sandra Mason, GCMG State Council, the president of Barbados, urged Commonwealth parliamentarians to work together to uphold the values of the Commonwealth. She said the vast network of the Commonwealth has the ability to promote its values across the world, and that the Commonwealth family works best when it works together. And in and in business news,
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
in Palabana area of Chongo district have raised concerns over high unemployment levels, saying they have been sidelined in many development initiatives. This follows news that Evergreen Investment and Company Limited plans to set up a quarry plant in the area, a project that has stirred mixed reactions among residents. While some farmers have opposed the proposed quarry, citing potential environmental and social risks, many young people see it as a rare opportunity for jobs in a community struggling with limited economic prospects.
Growing wheat, we employ 15 people. So farming creates employment. If we destroy the environment, it doesn't create employment.
First, I have one question, and then I'm going to make a comment which I believe is my right.
Correct.
This project was not allowed to proceed through Chongwe Council, through refusal of change of land use. How has that now been circumvented?
One of the concerned youths who spoke on condition of anonymity says many of their peers have turned to illicit activities out of desperation. The youths have appealed to local authorities and stakeholders to consider the potential benefits the project could bring, especially in addressing the unemployment crisis. And in response, Evergreen Investment and Company Limited has pledged to create over 200 direct jobs once the quarry becomes operational. The company says priority will be given to local residents during the recruitment process. And despite their divided views, residents agree that development in Palabana is essential.
Cha number 1 nikalibe naenda kuti nikambe zonse nikamba kuti ine maini nifu na kuti nkaleko niza kupasani zisanzo zibiri kapena zitatu ija maini pamene ibwera niziva kuti kuzakhala mavuto ya displacement maybe abantu maybe 10 15 20 ifo vimachitika tenti yangane first pamene ma parents batu ife pamene tichoka ku Kariba Dam pamene government kuma 60s vanapanga Kariba Dam mafamilies yathu kuja ife batonga yanankala displaced.
The ongoing debate now centers on how to strike a balance between economic progress and protecting the environment and livelihoods. Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
And in foreign news, one of South Africa's most historic universities has suspended its activities following violent student unrest, which saw several buildings set on fire. The University of Fort Hare said several campus buildings, including the main administrative and student affairs offices at its main Alice campus, were touched in petrol bomb attacks. No injuries or deaths were reported, and the university and the police said. But a student leader told state broadcaster Sabik that two students were injured in clashes with security officers. The unrest reportedly followed changes to the way students are governed. Students have also been demanding the removal of the university's vice chancellor. And in sports news, in its continued efforts to assess the value that sport adds to Zambia's GDP and sports tourism, NSCZ has developed a user friendly tool to collect and assess data on sports events held in the country. This will enable to enhance appreciation of the number of sports events held in the country. The tool, which is the first of its kind to be developed by the council, will collect data on number of participants attending sports and related events, locations of the events, cost implication of hosting events, and estimated funds raised through participation and entry fees. The tool will be administered to national federations and other sports organizations and will serve as a guide in the planning and facilitation of various programs in future to enhance the standards of various sports events. Organizations are required to submit data at the end of every month, with information collected shared with the relevant stakeholders, including the Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts, Minister of Finance, Ministry of Tourism, Zambia Tourism Agency, and the public. The ministry is urging all stakeholders to assist with submission of important information on their events to ensure further recognition of sports' impact on social and economic development of the country. Ends the sports news, and that item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a recap of the stories that made headlines. Labor and Social Security Minister calls on the private sector to ensure their operations are aligned with the country's labor laws. Community Action Against Corruption urges ZRA to explain the challenges it faced in collecting over 4 billion kwacha in unpaid taxes. One of South Africa's most historic universities has suspended its activities following violent student unrest, which saw several buildings set on fire. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to the happy world of 5FM Radio. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. My name is Lance Sannie. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.